Welcome to Cascadia, my first City Skylines series here on the new channel. Actually, my first series, period. So, apologies, this will probably be the worst of all of the series on here, because if history tells me anything from other YouTube channels that I've worked with and done and created, is the first few episodes at least from the first few series tend to be a little bit on the rougher side as we get used to things. So, yeah, I'm starting off here with City Skylines on the channel, a game that I really enjoy. Played a lot with, though not thousands of hours, but quite a few hours, and really enjoy it. Learned a lot over the years, so diving back into it. The map we have here is from the workshop. It is by Vitruvion and is called Salish Valley. It is a vanilla map, so no mods needed, no assets needed. And it's a pretty nice one. It's kind of styled on Pacific Northwest, and Cascadia, I mean, yes, you have the Cascade Mountains in the Pacific Northwest, but really, I'm gathering my inspiration from across the United States, especially the western half of the U.S. I live in Colorado, so we're going to see elements that kind of reflect Colorado, Montana, Utah, but also the Pacific Northwest, and maybe some other spots in America too. So it's a little bit of a mashup, American fusion, or whatever you want to call it type build here. But a lot of it will be very Western US inspired. I really like this map. As you can see, you got mountains right here in the background. Got the free camera here. We've got some good infrastructure and highways coming through, a lot of rivers. And over here we have kind of an inlet going out to the ocean. And it does have all the different connections that you need. So if we hop on out of here, this is the starting square. Now, the way I'm going to be playing this, you can kind of tell by some stuff down here. It is modded. I do have quite a few mods going, not a ton. If you want to know more about which mods I'm using, just go and check out the link in the description. That will take you to the Steam Workshop collection there of the different mods that I have. I don't know if I'm going to use all of them or not. I'm trying to remember what all I do have activated. I think I've got them all activated, but the main thing here is I'm going to zone. I've done the detailing stuff before, and I really enjoyed it, but I think here we're going to go with zoning just to make it a little bit easier on myself for my first series here back on YouTube. So now, one thing I'm going to do right away that I will show you guys is if we go out here, and I will be using the 81 tiles mod. The reason why is because I want to use the entire map. I want to build a whole region here in Cascadia, and for that we will do that. So that's maybe the one little quote-unquote cheaty thing that we've got going on, is the fact that I am unlocking the entire map. I will not be buying tiles with money. Instead, we will just buzz around to the different projects. So I'm still going to start here with this as the starting square. And if we go in here, it's a nice little roundabout. It has already been created for us. And yeah, so what we're going to start with is just a small town, very typical Western U.S. town. Kind you'd find in Colorado, for instance. You drive through a lot of Wyoming and Montana. And the first thing I'm going to do, actually, is we will bulldoze here, once I'm able to. We will bulldoze these connections right here and bring in a main drag, and then bring in some dirt roads and things like that. So, but it won't be a roundabout. The reason why is because if you go to a lot of the small towns in the United States, you're not really going to find a ton of roundabouts. And we will have that in the main city. In the city here, you can see Cascadia written down here. But for this first little town, we're going to start with a couple of main roads coming in, dirt roads kind of verging off of it in parts. We're going to have some industry built up, a little bit of a Main Street commercial, and some, not amazing residential areas. This town here will be called Cascade. It was kind of the beginning, is the way I'm seeing, is in an evolutionary project of it all. So if we look here, let's see, where do we have some of the simple dirt roads. I do have network extensions on, with which we'll start. Now, I haven't played vanilla in a while, so yeah, we'll kind of see how this goes. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the roundabout, like I said. But we will have a main drag through town. Let's see. It will be very typical American small town to start with. Yeah, these are the 2-lane gravel roads. Then I've also got 2-lane alleys. We've got 2-lane plain street, so we'll be using that as well. But I do want to use a smaller 4-lane road, and for that, first of all, let's just get rid of that. We'll bring in this and just kind of run it as a main street down this way. So you got a 4-lane road coming in this way. Got the river down here, so we're going to be gathering, or we're going to be dispensing of some water down there eventually. I will start with a water tower, and we will just have kind of an old school water tower here, kind of entry into the town. Very typical American deal there. So there's our water tower. Kind of welcome to the old town of Cascade. Yeah, so here you go. Water tower coming into the main drag there, the main street, and then we will build a few smaller roads coming off of that right away. We'll go with this one. So we'll have a road coming this way, and then another road coming out. Whoop. Out there that way, and we'll just do a little bit of a grid pattern. Yeah, because that's very typical of Western construction in the US, which is of course a little bit newer. Gonna leave the space in between in case we want to build up some alleys or something, which is also relatively typical. So what we've got here, so it'll dead end here right now. So we've got your basic grid, and now we're going to go in with the gravel roads kind of shooting off of that. So this will be the main commercial area down here. And then we're going to, over here, have a little bit of industry coming out this way. So that's the main job sector out here. So we'll just, did that wrong. All right. Bulldoze that section there, bring it across, and just do the dirt roads right across here. Now you do have a lot of like little alleys that'll cut into these western towns, and we'll just kind of put a few here, not everywhere. And not all the way through, just give it a little bit of variance. These are kind of very typical back alleys that you will find at times in these small western towns. So we'll have that down there, and then we'll move the industry out this way as well. Again, just going with some dirt roads, very basic. That's kind of like your little town county road, and we'll just turn that one out that way and build it on this way. So it's not a perfect grid, but that's okay. I don't like perfect grids, to be honest. So anyway, so there we've got kind of where the industry will kind of start, and just build another little mini grid here. And that's kind of the way you can kind of look at it, is this is where a lot of people are coming to go to work, kind of start their day off with. So now let's gonna go here to power. We're just gonna go with a standard coal power plant all the way out here. This is the main source of jobs in this town, and this will also be the main source of electricity. Now, what we're going to be using in this town is also eventually it'll upgrade to underground power right here. I've got some underground power because I just hate the overground power lines that we have. Now, I thought about downloading some of the custom assets as well. Kind of more US style power lines that you do see along the roads. But what I like about these are kind of what you'll see in the United States, cutting through in the main power givers across a landscape. So that gives us the power, and then we will start on the back side of that as well. We'll just do very, very basic here. And cut across. Again, very, very standard outline to get started with. And then as far as water treatment, we will go with the inland water treatment plant because we are a little bit further inland to start with. And we're just going to put the treatment plant, let's put it right over here. And now let's get some water going. And we'll put that right down here, the main drag. And back up. Boom. And let's connect that. It's not going to be, I'm trying to kind of be realistic a little bit. I mean, it may be a little bit wasteful, financially speaking, to be honest. But you know, hey, it's a small town, pretty rural. Let's say they are not the most up-to-speed city planners. So this is what we're going to be starting with. Just going to have a little bit of residential area out here. And this is just the small town of Cascade. So you got a very ugly power grid. Again, stuff that I come across. I travel a lot across the western U.S. and these aren't exactly the most picturesque towns in the world, but they do get the job done. So like I said, I will be zoning and not hand plopping to start with, but I think we'll do all right with that. So we will go and just have a nice main street through here. Let's do 3 in both directions. And then a little bit of smaller on the back end here. There we go. A few small shops here and there as the town expands. Nothing too crazy. Maybe something a little bit bigger here. And then, of course, residential. I want to keep it, so we're going to have a little bit of a gap right in here. And I'm going to keep these houses pretty small. Not going for big, expansive developments. Instead, in this very small town to start with, we're going to go with smaller, maybe a little bit lower income housing, which you see in some of these a little bit more rural, depressed type, not, you know, I mean, depressed economically, a little bit depressed or disenfranchised towns in the West. I mean, I can think of a town like Callahan here in the east central Colorado. It's very typical there. So let's actually put about a little bit bigger homes on this side, and then up top we will go for industry and just a little bit here, and then some smaller stuff there, and okay, a little bit larger, and then just kind of see how the town develops. So just a little bit to start with. Again, like I said, I do have some mods on, and we will see. Here's the highway connection that comes through. We can kind of take a little bit of tour of the map. If we, let's go out here. There we go. So as you can see, we've got the mountains back in that direction right there. And then if we scroll over here, here's another big mountain area. Streams coming down. I really like this. Coming down here. This is kind of an area that I'm thinking maybe a national park kind of up here, or a ski resort, something very Colorado, very western US. And then here we're gonna have fish industry come in here, maybe a little bit of a resort town somewhere down in this area. And you can see it's all, the valley is completely fertile. And then we do have some ore and oil as well here. Also, I think we could maybe make another farming community out this way. And this is the little town of Cascade. And I haven't quite decided what I want to do as far as where we end up putting the major city. But I think for right now, we'll just worry about developing Cascade, and then Cascadia can come next. All right, so as you can see, we've got some residents have come in. We're getting a little bit of commercial built there as well. So we now have 106 people here in Cascadia. Happiness isn't great, but you know, we're still working on things. Right now, it's just a matter of getting some people in here and expanding. You know, we've got a little bit of residential need, but the residential area has definitely not been completely built up. Maybe let's add a little bit of extra here on this side of town, there, and there as well. As Cascadia starts to grow a little bit moving forward. We've got 171 people in here. Let's see if we can maybe get to the first milestone. Not quite sure if that's going to be achievable, but we shall see. You can see now the industry going up, and we don't need more people. And, you know, the jobs will come in, and so will more residents. All right, I've added a little bit more industry here. Kind of expanded this a little bit more for the sake of some more jobs. Also to get a few more people in. As you can see right down here, our request for residents is going up, and we're going to start doing that. And I think we will have a little bit of low-income housing development. We'll put that right in over here. Come on the back side. A little bit right in there. Kind of out towards the jobs. Now, I know this isn't necessarily the most efficient layout per se, but that's okay. Speed that up a little bit. Because we're trying to just develop the town a little bit. Very small town American is the goal here to start off with. Now you can see we're getting more and more people wanting to move in. So let's add a little bit more residential area right in here, in behind the commercial sectors, and right off of that main street. As Cascadia starts to grow. And yeah, it's great to see we're at 250 something people, and it's a give and take still at this point. As I said, we're trying to build this just bit by bit as some of these smaller towns. But if you think about it, if you're driving across the western US landscape, you'll see like the small town, and then kind of a bit of ways off, you'll see this like odd industrial complex, mining complexes, oil complexes, things like that. And that's really where everyone's going to work. So what we'll do here, let's add a little bit extra roads coming in. Let's just put that right there and right there. Boom. And we will just more industry all around here, get people more jobs. And then if we're looking down here, places where we could expand residential areas, let's go and add a little bit more right here. little bit more of our main drag out. And again, okay, you guys are gonna have to relocate. I'm sorry. It's not my decision. It's just kind of the way it happened, people. All right. Water. Everyone's got water. Everyone's got water. We're not going to be building out there. If they do want to build out there, then, you know, that's just too dang bad. So let's fill these up here as well. And I think down here we can just go straight over to residential. Smaller residential development, kind of away from Main Street. We may change that again, but right now this is kind of your small town America Main Street, and then it peters out into the residential areas there as well. But we're getting a good start here to Cascadia. Again, I apologize. You know, a little bit nervous here. It's been quite a few months since I did anything on YouTube and anything with City Skylines. I haven't done zoning in a while. Everything I did the last few years, just playing for myself, and even a little bit on YouTube previously, was all working with hand placing and hand detailing, and gives you a little bit more control and before and after type shots. But we're getting there. My goal here in this episode is that we achieve the first big milestone, and we can set some stuff up and then kind of go from there. See, we're getting a little bit more commercial demand. It's low, but it's getting there. Again, first slow start here, and it's very, very grid. You know, it's not exploity at all. I'm hoping you guys are going to learn a little bit, some tips and tricks along the way. But honestly, this is also just have a little bit of fun, create a little storyline around a town, and maybe talk a little bit about the development of American cities. And if you want to build something American, if that's a theme you want to go for, how best to go about that. So we're going to hit that milestone very shortly, and we will, let's see, how much do we have here to go to the milestone? Little Hamlet, you go 550, which points we can do taxes, take out loans, even though right now I don't see a need for loans. We're making money, but we can do medical, landfill, we can put in our first education, and that's all really, really important. So now we're inching our way ever closer, add a little bit more residential area there as well, just to meet the demand. As Cascade, the old town of Cascade, is starting to grow and expand. People are moving in. Happiness is, it's pretty good overall. Everyone's pretty stoked to be living in the small town of Cascade. Little do they know, this is not where their future lies. Their future will lie in Cascadia. So, Little Hamlet achieved. So what we have here, we've got taxes, we've got loans, garbage, healthcare, education services, medical clinic, landfill site, elementary school, recycling center, and community schools. So, first things first, we got some money. Let's go up here. Taxes. So I'm going to keep taxes at about 10%. I want to get people to come in here, but industry and commercial is going to be taxed at 12%. Bring in some additional revenue from there. So I think these small towns definitely have schools. They definitely have police. It's amazing how tiny a town can even be in the United States. Right here where I live in Colorado, we've got a tiny, tiny town, tiny community. It's 1,000 people, and we have our own police precinct. So, not even precinct, our own police station dedicated. So, but we're going to go with education first. We're going to go with a standard elementary school. Cost is $10,000. Let's see. So, to make these people happy, yeah, not put it over here by the industry. We're going to put it over here because the town's going to expand out this way more and more. So we'll put it on the main drag right around here. So that gives us that. Let's see, what else can we do? Healthcare. How much are you? You are 10,000. It's going to really cut us down financially. Garbage. You are 4,000. Now, we definitely need garbage. People do get a little unhappy if you stop. If they just have to live in their own filth. So we're going to put garbage right out here. Gives us a nice landfill. We will put a recycling center out here eventually. Again, this is kind of the expansion of Cascade. So if we look at it, we can build Cascade out to a nice small town kind of nestled in here. If we go back out to this camera, we pan around. I'm thinking, you know, the city of Cascadia. And granted, we could have Cascade right in here, expand and create Cascadia, the bigger city, right in this area. So it's kind of like the old town and the new city. And then they can head up here to recreate, you know, maybe do a ski resort up here, national park maybe up that way, or put a national park up that way. We're definitely going to have big forestry industry here. Then another town out this way that's going to focus on ag, so a farming community building up there, and then maybe a little fishing community town right down here or down here along the coast. So there is a ton of potential here. I hope you enjoyed it despite, you know, my very, very obvious. Let's settle down here. You can see the mountains a little bit. Let's go down. Oh, there's Game Go, a little food place right there. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Let's move out this way. You can see a little bit of the main drag. Pancakes here. You got to have your IHOP in American Town there. You can kind of see that industrial complex like I was talking about. You'll see in some of these small towns kind of out on the outskirts. So I hope you are enjoying this. Please hit that like button. Even if you can tell, I can tell I'm nervous. This is the first time I'm doing this on this channel, and the first time I'm kind of doing City Skylines like this again, and definitely the first time on YouTube. Please subscribe, and so you don't miss out on any City Skylines stuff or Crusader Kings 3, which will be coming to the channel in the future. Yeah, put down a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Give me some tips, give me some thoughts on where you think we should build things, and maybe some names for some places. So until next time, I am Rail Builder Guy. Thank you so much for coming by and checking out Cascadia. Until next time, take care and goodbye.